coffee along, something warm to drink. And we're anxious to update you on the activities of the White Rose Leadership Institute. Also, we'll be giving an update on Give Local York, and would encourage any questions or comments. Please use the chat box, and we'll have some pauses throughout the kind of presentation format this morning to make sure that we can address any of those questions or just thoughts that people want to lift up for the group. So welcome, and we're going to go ahead and jump in, and I'm going to turn it over to Robin Rohrbaugh to give you an update on our board of directors, some new members, and things going on with the board. It's all you, Robin.
Thanks, Jenny. So I get the pleasure this morning of introducing two new board members to the White Rose Leadership Institute. First, Stephanie Seaton, who was the class of 2010, as you can see. Stephanie is working for the Department of General Services, doing some great DEI work. As we have experienced her as a wonderful advocate in York County, now she's spreading the wealth to the Commonwealth. I woke up witty this morning. So that's Stephanie. Joyce Santiago is a graduate of our 2018 class at the the York Federal Fellows. Joyce, many of you know, is the executive director of the York Area Housing Group and a wonderful advocate for nonprofits and the community. So we welcome both of them. I will tell you that in conversations at the board level, Joyce and Stephanie have jumped right in and have been very productive and helpful in their comments and their reflections on the direction of the Institute. So we're very, very grateful to have them. So thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Robin.
You're welcome.
This is just a reminder of who is currently serving on our board of directors, and I really want to thank all of them. We've been doing some, even despite some of the disruption of COVID, we've been doing some planning work and some visioning work, and I've really appreciated getting to work with all of these insightful and dedicated folks. You can move to the next slide, Megan. This is a summary of the some of our committees. So you see the Finance Committee and who's participating on those committees. As a reminder, we have decided to maintain the board member composition to be made up of folks who are York Federal Fellows alumni, and then you'll see that weighting in our committees, but in our committees not exclusive to York Federal Fellows alumni. So wanted to just make that distinction for folks.
Okay, so now's the fun portion where we get to tell you about what we've been up to this past year, or really even since, you know, getting our official 501c3 status back in 2019, which seems like a world ago. So if you will recall, we as WRLI had worked with DesignQuake to conduct a community needs assessment, because really what we wanted to do was to better understand the landscape of the nonprofit community in York County, and where there might be any gaps or areas that could be strengthened by us as an organization. And we really wanted to survey the landscape, if you will. And so we worked with DesignQuake and Aaron McLaughlin to help us do that. So between March and July of 2019, Aaron conducted about 18 interviews with various stakeholders. These are the empathy interviews, so they're very in-depth and not your traditional sort of focus group kind of questions, but with the goal of really being able to identify these sort of unmet community needs, and to get a snapshot of where we are as a nonprofit community in York County. So that work was undertaken last summer, not this past summer, but the summer before. And we received basically that assessment report last spring/winter, really pretty much right before the pandemic happened is when we got this information. And so what that assessment had revealed to us is that these are the following needs in York County. that there really is a need for sort of a deeper 200, 400 level graduate level, if you will, sort of leadership skill development and resources for nonprofit leaders. We are all seeing that there's a need for this leadership succession pipeline and the need to sort of fill that pipeline here in York County. There is a need for permission to take risks and risk capital for nonprofit leaders to be able to be innovative and to advance some of these solutions that we've seen. So this ability to take risk has been identified. An elevation of both the caliber of and the perception of the caliber of nonprofit leaders in our community. So really that advocacy on our behalf as nonprofit leaders to show people how awesome we are. So that elevation of the caliber and the perception of the caliber. And that there's a real need for effective collaboration and these collective impact efforts. And I know that these are conversations that many of us remember having in the before times and having been identified as something that we need. So not only these collective impact efforts, but really equipping the nonprofits and the leadership to be able to be ready to take on these collaborative projects was identified as a need through this assessment. So now that we have done this assessment, that was really phase one. Phase two is where we figure out how to create a sustainable business model that helps us address these unmet needs and find our role in this in this solution, how we can help. So as we move into phase two, it's really coming up with a plan for sustainability for the White Rose Leadership Institute and creating a business model before we would then move into implementation, which is phase three, as identified by the DesignQuake community needs assessment. So this might be a good time to keep an eye on the chat folks and see if we have any specific questions maybe about that or the needs that were found. None?
Nothing
We
yet.
have lots of birthday wishes for Bob.
Yeah, lots of birthday wishes. Okay. Well, then we can hop out of the community needs assessment and talk a little bit about the board retreat.
So on a parallel track, we also felt it was important to revisit our mission, vision, values. We had certainly prepared and done work around that visioning when we submitted our 501c3 application, but also felt that there needed to be a deeper dive. And with the learnings that we had surfaced through the work that Megan just described, we really wanted to, as a board, inject those learnings into the creation of our mission, vision, values, and reflect on those and how they would drive our work forward. So what you see, and this was, it was funny when I was looking at these slides and I saw March 2nd, 2020, we were sitting in a room together, not knowing what was right around the corner. So we had completed this work together in early March. And what you see in front of you is a revised mission and vision statement. And then the also values. We spent a lot of time on this work. All of you, which is the nice thing about this organization, have touched this process, if not gone deep in this process many times. And so I'm sure that you can appreciate the work that goes into trying to incorporate the feelings and the thoughts and the vision and passion that people have for the work in the right verbiage. So I hope that we have captured those things. We feel connected to this mission, vision, values, and confident in them. I think, Megan, if we go to the next slide, we can reflect on the values a minute. And I'll just pause on those. Advocacy is something that has been front and center in the work in York Federal Fellows in a variety of ways in the past, and something we want to embody going forward. We chose the term catalyst and wanted to focus on being a catalyst, both for change and for being able to be good forecasters and be able to look around the corner a bit collectively. Collaboration, we talked about that as part of, that surfaced as part of Design Quake's work with us, and something we certainly wanted to carry into our values. Thanks, Megan. Fellowship was a term that we talked a bit about in our retreat. The opportunity to be part of a fellowship is a unique and special one, and we wanted to breathe some life into that term as part of our values and what that really meant to us and how we'd like to see that portrayed in our work and efforts going forward. Inclusion is certainly something that we value in the work, but want to continue to live into in the creation of our vision going forward. And certainly then integrity underpins all of our work and making sure that we're good stewards and that we're trusted advisors, and that people look to the organization and the individuals associated, continue to look to the organization and the individuals associated as those that do their work with integrity. So I'll pause there, and certainly, like we said, throw some questions in the chat box, but hope I saw some good feedback. And we are, as a board, are very excited about this work and excited to share it with you. So appreciate your thoughts. I'm going to turn it over now to Bobby Ann to talk us through a bit of work that's been going on specific to York Federal Fellows and what's coming up in the coming year. So I'll turn it over to Bobby Ann.
Good morning, everyone. We've been doing quite a bit of work with the York Federal Fellowship.
Did you get my
wonderful
text?
Uh-oh. We have had convened a committee. You saw that committee was rather large and very representative of quite a few of our classmates along the timeline, which was great because we had the old, the new, the recent, and that gave us a lot of insight into where we came from and maybe where we're supposed to be going. The committee had decided when COVID hit, not too long into COVID, we decided that perhaps this was a good year to take a pause. The current fellows of 2020, Kelly Gibson, Chris Pollock, and Jackie Summers, did not have the opportunities that they applied for because everything was shut down, nobody was flying anywhere, and all the courses were stopped in their tracks. So we extended that year, their fellowship year, so they will be going into 2021, allowing them some time to be able to accomplish what they set out to do. And if those changes need to happen because things aren't available, this is a good year to be able for the committee to be able to reevaluate all that. We also, we're not accepting any applications. We're taking that pause year. We're not accepting any applications for 2021. As I said, the next applications would be coming in for 2022, and that would be in August. I'm sorry, am I flipping around, Megan? So I'm going by my little notes here. We have made some significant changes to the application. You'll see we've added the term senior level position for senior leadership, not just the C-suite, but also people who are being groomed for a senior level position and closely groomed. And then of course they need to be referred by their executive director or CEO. This widens our field a little bit, and it also offers an opportunity to the community because we find that we don't have a lot of that mentorship at that level. So we're hoping that this will open up that field. We have 70% of the fellowship funding is now going to be towards the professional development. It had been 75. We are going with a 30 maximum for any personal growth. It still has to meet all the requirements, of course, but gives us a little bit more funding in the personal growth area, and still allows for the professional to be the focus. We also are requiring, as an organization, we need an organizational non-discrimination policy, either on the books or being worked on, and to be finished before the fellows year begins. This goes back to our equity statement that I think do we have that in the beginning? Thank you. And we are also now requiring a post-fellowship report. We always did some kind of a presentation, but we're actually going to ask for a written report, nothing extensive, but it will require receipts so that we can keep a track on what the expenses are and make sure that all the things that were done were in line with the actual application. And then any application that may change in the middle of the year. We've had, some fellows have changed jobs or changed careers, and that can be a request, but it would need to be a written request to the selection committee to make sure that we are approved. They're approved to continue. As you can see, the York Federal Fellows are a true network, and we ask that you engage in the Fellows Yearbook. Megan started this for us. Thank you very much. Oh, look who's first. So if you could put all your information into this document, that would be great. It is an active online yearbook. It can be updated and changed. The whole purpose behind this piece is to make sure that we have the networking information that we need to connect with each other. You're all professionals, and I might need help. So I would appreciate where to email you and where to call you. But also it gives an opportunity for you to talk about your fellowship, what you gained, whether it was an experience that you think others should try if they're interested in a certain aspect. I do not recommend trapeze. It scared the pants off me. But, otherwise, it was a great adventure. I want to thank the committee. It was, as I said, a large group. We did a lot of work. I thought it was going to be a quick and easy done in 3 meetings, and we extended it out to 6. I mean, that was great. That meant there was a lot of conversation and a lot of interest in what the fellows mean and where we're going with the fellowship. I think that might be it for me.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Bobby Ann. Appreciate that update and the work of that entire group to kind of pause and rethink how to maximize our connection to folks and continue the fellowship tradition. So I'm going to turn it over to Joan now to walk us through a statement on equity and inclusion that White Rose Leadership instituted in June of 2020, along with some specific actions. All of us have, lived through the past year and have likely each within our organizations had conversations and done work in this area. And so we wanted to share with all of you the work that we've undertaken from the White Rose Leadership perspective. Joan.
Thanks, Jenny. I think many of us have had reflective moments over the past year following Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and George Floyd, in that many of our organizations, including White Rose Leadership Institute, put out statements which reflected what we were thinking at the time, but it didn't necessarily mean that we were living what we were thinking. And so we as a group, actually led by Megan, started to develop a statement on equity inclusion, and then the group talked a lot about the action steps that we would take to live our values, because we know that the stand is not enough. As you can see, about 8% of the federal fellows are currently people of color. 8% of the 300 plus nonprofits that participate in Give Local York are also led by or have staff of leadership of color. I'm sorry, my cat is yelling at me to go out. 1 second, because you're gonna get him singing the whole time. Sorry. I think you've had a chance to take a look while I was letting the cat out. So maybe we're flipping to the activities that we said that we would do in order to live our values. And we wanted to make sure that we are actively recruiting nonprofit leaders of color to apply for York Federal Fellows. And we will listen how to make this program more accessible. We will make sure that we are actively recruiting nonprofit leaders of color to register for Give Local York. We will require all organizations that apply for Give Local York to have an anti-discrimination policy regarding staff and the population served. So it could be twofold for your organization, or it has to be more than what's in your personnel policy. There really should be an organizational policy statement that reflects your entire organization. That's a public facing document that reflects anti-discrimination and inclusion. We recognize right off the bat that our board did not reflect the community. So as you know now, we have been more intentional about recruitment. We will continue that work to be more inclusive. And then we will offer more educational programming on equity to the community. I think that wraps up. Any questions?
I do. Hi, Sherry Kim. So I think this is, first of all, I just want to say that I think this is a really good start, and I appreciate that the White Rose Leadership Institute is doing this, and I think it's very important. But one thing that we tend to do as people who are not people of color is our gut response to not having adequate representation is to just try and recruit more people. And that's a start, but then we fail to look at the underlying causes of the lack of inclusion and just kind of treat it as a band-aid of, well, we'll just try and recruit people of color instead of finding out why they're not drawn to the board in the first place. And I don't think that this is necessarily a problem that is unique to the White Rose Leadership Institute. I think that this is a much bigger problem, especially in York, where there's a lot of hatred in York, unfortunately. And so I think that possibly part of the problem is just kind of some of the atmosphere that is present in York County. But it's a bigger problem than just trying to recruit more people to be more representative. And I don't know if this is necessarily something that is the task of the White Rose Leadership Institute, or if it's a bigger task, but it's something to kind of look at and see if there's something underlying the problem in the first place, I guess.
Right. So I'll go back to listening. That is part of the work that we're doing, so that you're right. We are not just trying to put people on boards to be visually more equitable or more inclusive, but we really are striving to live our values. And I think, I don't want to speak for the whole group, but I do think that this group has really good intentions. We are trying to move beyond those intentions to action. I think if you go to the previous slide, Megan, there's a good statement down in the third paragraph that we believe leadership is exceptional when it reflects our diverse communities. And we want to champion innovative and effective solutions to York County's most pressing social problems and the important role that we as a nonprofit sector play. This is not easy work. For my own organization, I call it changing our DNA. And it's not a one and done activity. This statement, the inclusion action steps that we're incorporating into the work we do is just a first step. It is really changing the DNA and how all of us function. And that is ongoing hard work, but it does give us the opportunity to be open-minded and listen and invite more people into the conversation. I'll leave it at that and let Jenny and Megan answer.
If I
more.
could,
Yeah, Stephanie.
hi. Okay.
Go ahead,
Well,
Stephanie.
good morning, everyone. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone, and it's so glad to see all of you. And Sherry, I really appreciate your comments, and I will just say we had very frank discussions. I had very frank discussions with the board and with the nominating committee when Bobby Ann called me to be a part of the White Rose Leadership Institute board. I have high regard for the York Federal Fellows, having been in the class of 2010 and having worked extensively in this area in our community. I have served on boards previously where I was the only person of color and I was expected to interject everything regarding DEI. We had very open, honest conversations regarding this when I came on the board. And so I felt very confident that everything that had been laid out, that we're moving in the right direction. We looked at the fact that, well, what prompted this? What prompted this? Why didn't somebody recognize this sooner? So we were able to have some honest conversations around this area. Had that not been able to occur, I would not feel comfortable being on this. So I am proud of the work that the White Rose Leadership Institute is doing, that they have done, and the direction that they're moving in. And if you know me, you know this is not just to say we have one or, you know, a representative, but to really be involved in the work of the White Rose Leadership Institute and what we're trying to accomplish through the nonprofit community and our community at large. So I just wanted to share that piece, but I really appreciate your comments because it is refreshing when others can ask those hard questions and feel comfortable doing it, you know. So we as a leadership institute appreciate that. And again, as we're moving forward, we certainly are going to be living out this. And like you say, as Joan said, a change in DNA. And that's what we're trying to do. It's not a small task, but that's what the direction is that we're moving in. So thank you.
Thanks, Sherry and Stephanie. Appreciate your comments. And just the one that I'll add quickly is a reminder that we really need everyone's help and support as York Federal Fellows alumni to think about the pipeline. As I stated earlier, we've made a commitment at this point in time to maintain board membership limited to those that have been a fellow, so are part of the alumni group. So when we think about diversity and inclusion on our board, we have to automatically and quickly think about the diversity and inclusion in the fellows group in and of themselves. So we are, subsequent pieces of our work on this journey are to think about, which has been taken into account in the information that Bobby shared. How do we start to make the tent as inclusive as possible when we think about those on the coming into the fellows program, and develop that strong pipeline so that the board can continue to be populated by those that have had the fellows experience and also reflect the full and robust nature of our community. So just another piece that I'd enlist all of your help with as we think about August of 2021. I know I'm looking forward to that time for a variety of reasons. But to think as we queue up for recruiting at that point in time, how we can get the broadest group to represent the York Federal Fellows moving forward and join the alumni group following their fellowship year. Thank you for those comments and conversation. This is work we're all doing and a journey we're all on. And the more that we can leverage our relationships within the fellows to do this work, the more effective I think that we'll all be.
Okay.
Megan, I think we're going to Give Local York now.
Yeah, we are going to Give Local York. It's that time of year again. So the way that we normally do this is, so this coming Friday is the Extraordinary Give in Lancaster County, and I know quite a few of your organizations are participating in that, so you're familiar. But for the past 4 years, or 3 years, this will be our 4th Give Local. We've had the Extraordinary Give happen on a Friday, and then we come out and have our announcement that following Monday that we're back and we're here to do this. So that is going to happen this Monday. Registration will open for nonprofits to participate in Give Local York. We are doing a virtual press announcement rather than hosting a press conference. So that will be unleashed to the world also Monday morning. But Give Local this year will take place on May 7th, 2021. It's always the first Friday in May. And our goal this year is to have 13,500 donors make a gift on Give Day. So that's sort of the basic information. We don't know yet what Give Day will look like this year. We had a lot of success last year with our live stream model and utilizing social media and sort of the virtual community sphere to host Give Day. And so at minimum, that will happen again. But best case scenario is we'll be able to have some sort of hybrid approach that incorporates both online and in-person activities to whatever level they're able to happen. So we will be keeping, a keen eye on recommendations and regulations coming from CDC and the state, and we will continue to lean in hard to the virtual and the live stream, and all intents and purposes to make every Give Day bigger than the year before. So that's where we're heading, and we'll be opening everything up and getting it ready to go again here on Monday. So any questions about Give Local or anything that's come through specifically on that? Yeah.
I just want to say, Megan, on behalf of the whole board and likely all the fellows, we haven't been together as a group since Give Local in May of this year. And just want to pause and reflect on what a successful day that was in so many ways, and that it was pulled off in an environment that no one could have anticipated, and not just pulled off, but really successfully executed. And so thanks to you and the whole team of volunteers that supports that, that comes out, that's, largely not necessarily made up of York Federal Fellows. We're all busy working with our own organizations. And then there's this whole troop of people that emerge that support the nonprofit community leading up to and on that day to make sure that that day is successful. So sometimes I feel I'm a bit in a COVID time warp, but it wasn't that long ago that we did this work in May. And since we haven't been together, wanted to pause and reflect on how well that was executed, and how much that I personally, and I know others, appreciated that pivot and the work that was done to make that a successful day for all of us.
Thank you. And I think this would be a good time to, we're talking about a celebration and what a celebration Give Day is. And today, of course, is also a celebratory day, as it is Bob's birthday. So we have some special guests that we have invited to join us here. We have the kids from York Day Nursery who are here to lead us all in song to celebrate Bob's birthday. So I'm going to mute myself, but if y'all want to join in, we'll let the kiddos get us started to celebrate Bob.
All right, are we ready, friends? All right, 1, 2, 3.
Wonderful.
Oh, great.
Thank you. Yikes.
Oh, geez.
Thank you, Kate, and everyone from
Thank
York Day
you.
Nursery.
Oh, geez. Oh, my God. I love kids. You guys
So,
are
Bob,
making me cry, for God's sake.
Aw.
Why are you making these birthdays incredibly spectacular for me? I never paid that much attention to them. Thanks
You
for all you're
deserve it.
doing. Thank you. I have great pride in all of you.
Thank
Bob,
you.
we would, we definitely turned it over to the pros to sing to you. So glad we were able to do that. And thanks to everyone at York Day Nursery for helping pull that together. And before we close this morning, Bob, wanted to turn it over to you for any last words on this auspicious day. Anything that you want to share and reflect back with us.
Well, I think as I look at my life, I see the White Rose Leadership Institute and Give Local York and all of you who are alumni as one of the top 3 most proud associations of my entire life. And I've had some big ones, so very fortunate in that regard. But my greatest fortune comes from you all coming together and doing what you did. Last year, in the face of not knowing anything, you had a spectacular outcome, to say the least. And the community participated in a spectacular way. So it was a great success for you, for the community themselves, and for all of the nonprofits that are so important as the next responders of our social comfort in our community. So, Megan, to see that you've now boosted it up to the fantastic goal of 13,500 donors, look at what we're doing. I mean, it's all about growing the donor base. That's what every board director says to you. Grow the donor base. So when they partner with you all, that's what they're doing, growing that donor base. And I'm so proud of how you have accomplished that and how you continue to achieve. Keep it up.
Thank you so much, Bob. I know that each of us have our own personal connection to you and to the support that you've given us today. As I'm looking at the attendees and the comments, there's a lot of good wishes coming your way from not just the York area, but beyond, which is exciting to see. So thanks, Kevin, for joining us. Want to thank all of you. I'm going to pause to make sure there's not any last words from anyone else, and then turn it over to Megan to close us out.
I don't think I see other than birthday wishes, and we will we'll save this chat and make sure that we are keeping track of everything that was shared here today, and that we're making it part of the conversation. So I will thank you all for joining us. I'll remind you that registration for Give Local does open on Monday, so make sure your organizations are ready for that. I'll also make a quick plug where we are doing our non-gala again this year. It's a little bit odd because I think, this is probably the one year people would want to attend a gala. But, we figured, what the heck, we're all used to not leaving our house anyway, so we'll throw it out there. so, you know, this is something that we do pretty much via email and social media. But once again, your absence is requested this year on December 11th. So keep an eye out for some of those messages coming from us. And, you know, just to reiterate, thank you to the whole board and to our committees who are able to help us do this work and have some very important conversations as we look to the future, not only of the White Rose Leadership Institute and Give Local York, but, you know, for the nonprofit community here in York. And of course, a happy, what did we say, Bobby Ann? First anniversary of Bob's 80th birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. Second annual 80th birthday. Happy birthday, Bob. And thank you for all that you do for us. And thank you everyone for joining us this morning. And for, you know, asking these questions and having this conversation with us and coming along on this journey of the White Rose Leadership Institute. We appreciate all of you. So thank you so much and have a
Thanks,
wonderful
everybody.
day.
Have a great day.
Bye for
Thank you,
now.
everyone. Happy
Thank you.
Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Happy
Bye.
Thanksgiving.
It's coming. It's coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
bye.
Bye. Be well.